Yes. Welcome back.
We're on? Is that
We're all, yeah, we're always on.
I was
so,
waiting
yeah.
for the click.
All right, action. All right, welcome back to the Cuyahoga Sound Podcast. I'm Evan Stone.
I'm Chuck Schilling.
Hey guys, how you doing out there? Today we have a very special guest today. He is a seasoned veteran in music in Cleveland, this area. Dreadlock Dave. Hello,
hey
Dreadlock Dave. Dave McDougal.
Yes, sir. Evan, Chuck, what's up, brothers? Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming in,
man.
man.
Yeah, man.
Great, man. Now, the first time I met you, do you remember?
I don't.
All right. 2010 or 11, at Kent Stage, when Woody James was running Ohio Music Shoppers, and he put on this like songwriting thing, and he just like mashed random people together to write a song in like an hour.
Correct.
And I think it was you and Angie Hayes.
It was me and Scott Paris.
Scott Paris, that's right. Okay, Angie Hayes was
but
there.
Angie Hayes was
that's
there.
That's where I first met her too.
That's me too. Yeah, you were there. You were
That's
one of the.
right, yeah.
You were one of the musicians.
I was not. I was a music student at Kent State, though, and I was trying to see as much as I could. That's when I was just emerging into.
Oh, that's great,
into
man.
Playing.
Nice,
with,
dude.
People. Yeah.
I'm gonna one up you, Evan.
All right.
Do you remember the first time we met?
Oh no, dude.
It was upstairs, right?
Actually, I do remember that.
See, yeah.
Short-term memory aside, I do remember that. Cheers.
Cheers.
You
We
know,
are.
Thank you guys for having me.
We've put an end to our sober January a little bit early.
That's right. Yeah.
And we
3 weeks was enough.
We apologize for the last two podcasts if we were a little dull. It was
3 weeks of sobriety. Is that what happened?
Well, 3 weeks of no alcohol.
Right.
Yep.
Cheers to that.
Exactly.
I'm glad you're back.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm back too.
Yeah,
But
same here.
It was much needed. I got a nice mind cleanse. Lost a
Excellent.
little of the darkness under my eyes. And
Beautiful.
shed a few pounds and
Yeah, man. It's all good.
learned I really do have control over when I want to.
Right on. Yeah, that's cool.
You made it through a jam night while I was drinking without drinking.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So this was self-imposed.
Still doing gigs. Yeah. Me and Rihanna, my girlfriend, we both did it together.
Nice, dude. Very cool. I get it.
So happy New Year.
Yeah, happy New Year. Right. Cheers.
You made it.
We're drinking some Cleveland whiskey.
Yeah. What are we drinking?
We are drinking Cleveland Underground bourbon whiskey finished with sugar maple wood. Our unofficial sponsor, meaning that they don't sponsor us, but maybe you guys.
We're
can
hoping
send us
for a
bottle.
sponsorship. All right. Well, let's see. Yeah. So, I love Cleveland, born and raised, and yeah, man, that's very cool. I've
You've
not
been
had
playing
this.
music about your whole life, huh?
I have. Yeah, since the piano lessons at age 5. Okay, our kid is going to take piano lessons. And it was, the little old lady down the street that had the piano lesson sign in her front yard, and that's where it basically my formal introduction to music was.
What was her name?
Oh boy, I don't remember.
It was the same story with me. My introduction and the little old lady down the street, Mrs. Davidson. Rest in peace.
Nice, man. Okay, yeah, I wish I remembered her name. That's a great question. But obviously she was, I remember going through those books, the piano book 1 and 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And whatever it was, Mel Bay or I don't know.
Yeah, like Schumann.
Yeah. Right. Very
Did you
cool.
get little stickers when you did good?
That's
one thing I remember.
Yeah, I think it was pre-stickers, man. I was pre-stickers. Like there was a time where stickers. There were always stickers, I guess. I don't know when. I don't know the history of
It
stickers.
was the great glue shortage
of the early 1970s.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember stickers. I remember silver stars, glitter stars.
Yeah.
So I guess that would count as a sticker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Great. Any other instruments at the young age?
Yeah. Well, I remember having a toy saxophone. It was almost like a kazoo, but it did have a reed element to it, so you would actually blow into it, not hum into it. And it was a toy saxophone that I got probably, I was 3 or 4 years old.
Nice.
And then a ukulele came at that somewhere around that same time. So actually one of my next releases or promos is going to have the picture of me at like 5 years old with my ukulele.
Oh, nice.
So, I'm going to do one of those retro kind of things.
Cool.
Yeah, but those two things, and then the piano lessons, and then, fifth grade, I moved to a new school system, and I'll digress just a moment, but it's fifth grade, getting on the high school bus in the dark, right, because it's fall, going to band rehearsal, fifth grade band rehearsal before you go to school. So you got to get on the early bus, and it's dark and it's spooky and it's cold, and got my little saxophone case. I get on the high school bus as a fifth grader, and the next thing, sit in the first or second seat with my saxophone case. Next thing I hear, chick, 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 right? Back in Black had just come out. Some kid in the back of the bus, some high schooler, had the boom box with the cassette tape. So this moment that I was so excited to go to band with my saxophone early in the morning was the first time I heard AC/DC, and it was this moment of like, this is rock and roll, man. It was something happened to me that morning. Anyway, I went through the band program, fifth grade saxophone, and then I went into the high school band and played flugelhorn my freshman year because saxophone wasn't loud enough in the high school marching band, and then I moved to sousaphone my sophomore year.
That's the one that looks like between a French horn and a tuba.
Sousaphone is the tuba. It's the one. It's the one that dots the I, Ohio State.
Okay.
Right.
Is it bigger than your traditional tuba?
It's more spread out. You wear it over your shoulder, and then there's a big bell above your head. So that's like that's the sousaphone versus the tuba, but they're the same like range instrument. They're the same. They play the same part.
They're both the bass part of the horn section.
Exactly. Yeah. So I did that through high school. I was the vice president of the band my junior year and president of the band my senior year. We were like 200 strong in the marching band.
What school system was it?
Olmsted Falls, west side of Cleveland.
All right.
In the suburbs, where the country meets the city. And man, it was great. It was a great, it was like a Norman Rockwell middle class upbringing in the suburbs. And I was fortunate enough to have a decent music program in the school and was afforded all these opportunities. And I did the one of the best shows was we combined Olmsted Falls with our competing neighboring school, North Olmsted, and we went down and played the halftime show at the Pittsburgh-Cleveland Browns game.
Wow, nice.
At the old Cleveland Stadium in 1985. And so there were 80,000 people. That was one of my first gigs was in front of the 80,000 people at Cleveland Stadium.
Man, that's special for a young kid.
It was, man. It was. Yeah. I had a lot of great opportunities as a kid, and my parents were musical, and they were very supportive. The band rehearsed in our basement and in our attic. Mom and Dad were cool with that. And,
so you're doing rock bands at the same time?
When I was 16, I got in my first rock band. Though I got a bass the Christmas before because I was wanting a bass. But yeah. Sorry, man. I could talk.
Oh, that's why you're here.
Right.
So a lot of people know you as a bass, as your primary instrument.
Yeah.
Would you say that for yourself?
Yeah, definitely, man. That's was my first love. I mean, Gene Simmons was my first, when I saw Kiss as a 10-year-old. Actually, it was WGCL 98.5 at the time. I think it was the Uncle Vic show, and I heard Jethro Tull, Cross-Eyed Mary, right? I don't know if you're familiar with this song, but it's a great heavy tune, and then it begins and ends with the flute part, like real soft and light. So I had my radio cranked, like to hear this. I was drawn in by this intense rock riff thing, and then the flute, and yeah, man. So I had the radio. I just kept turning the volume up, so it was at maximum volume at the end of this Jethro Tull song, right? And then it went into "Rock and Roll All Night" by Kiss, which like blew my head off because the radio.
You're still all the way up.
Yeah, all the way up. So that was my indoctrination, like on Cleveland radio, and then I went at 10 years old. I moved from North Olmsted to Olmsted Falls, where I ended up going to high school, and I met a friend, and his older brother, he was like getting out of Kiss because Kiss wasn't cool anymore. You know, this is 1978.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right. So he gave me all of his Kiss records.
Just gave
them to me. And I had a half a dozen, whatever, so Kiss records at the time, and a record player, and that's what I played for like 3 years. And I would see Gene Simmons in like the 16 magazine or whatever, the Kiss. By then it was, they had moved on to their like, almost their makeup phase was done.
Yeah.
You know, so. But anyway, yeah.
So, did you get into Kiss first from the music aspect, or from a visual aspect? Had you seen what Kiss was before that, before hearing?
It was the same time, really,
Okay.
because I had heard Rock and Roll All Night and Party Every Day, that one time, and I was like, I remembered Kiss, okay? And then I was just talking to this new friend that I met in the new high school. He's like, oh, my brother has a bunch of Kiss records. I'm like, oh, really? So he delivered, he just gave them to me, this stack of 6 records, and then I'm like, holy shit, man, what is this? And it's like a live, I'm looking at a live one, which was like their breakthrough record, right? And I was just blown away, man. Kiss cards were readily available at the local convenience store, and I would ride my bike too, and yeah, man, it was just crazy. It was an interesting induction into, popular rock and roll.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, man.
What are some other, after Kiss, what are some of the other acts that got you going or influenced you to keep playing or influenced you to write?
Yeah, man. Wow. Well, prior to Kiss, it was my dad. My mom, both of them were in the church choir. And as a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old, I'm not sure when it happened, I noticed a stack of records in the basement. And my dad had an old Suitcase record. It was his and my aunt's, his sister's, record collection. And it was Chuck Berry, Elvis Presley, Buddy Holly. Just all the greats of rock and roll, right?
The devil's music.
Yeah, for sure. All that great stuff, man, and some really obscure stuff. The Four Freshmen, and my dad has been a barbershop singer since he was 14 years old, and he'll be 78 or 79 this year, and he's still directing a barbershop chorus.
Great. In Olmsted area?
No, he's moved around. He was in Cleveland for most of his life, grew up in Shaker, and then he did they moved to Chicago for 15 years, and then they moved out. They're now currently in Sedona, Arizona.
Oh,
which
beautiful.
is it's an awesome. It's my favorite place in the continental United States.
Yeah. I was just there a couple years ago.
Oh man,
I
if you've never been,
yeah,
I recommend it.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good drive. Like you pass it from the Grand Canyon down to Phoenix. It's like about like a third of the way, and then Flagstaff is on the way there too, which you don't want to miss. And Sedona is just so beautiful. Yeah,
that drive 89A from Flagstaff down the valley through Sedona is just it's awesome. And I've been lucky to be able to spend a lot of time in Sedona. So, but anyway, my dad still sings barbershop music, so I heard nothing but, growing up, I would play my music, Kiss, and a handful of 8-track tapes that I got, because my first stereo set was just nothing but a turntable and an 8-track tape player, little cheap speakers. But I would hear my music, and then I would hear my dad's barbershop music playing, and Larry Tate doing the Indians, the score or whatever, Anyway, he was a big influence. My dad showed me. I mean, I just heard that 4-part harmony over and over and over, and at times we would bond over a certain song. There's a classic song, I don't know who wrote it, but it's called Jive, and there's a version that my dad turned me on to when I was like 16. I was listening to Kiss and Whitesnake and whatever else was going on in my life at the time. But then I'd have this moment with my dad, and we like bonded over this 4-part harmony Jive. It might have been Manhattan Transfer or something but it was a cool. It was a cool influence.
Cool. I was able to be a part of one of those.
A barbershop?
At that, while I was at Kent State. Did the men's course for 2 years.
Nice,
That
dude.
was like one little extracurricular.
Oh, yeah.
So our director, his name was Ben Ailing, and he was the low voice of like a world champion barbershop quartet. I forget what they were called, though.
My dad probably knows.
He probably does. I didn't know that name.
Yeah, right on. Well, that's great. So you sang in like a quartet?
I was the bass part.
Nice. Oh, yeah.
And then, we had a little field trip when, Straight No Chaser, they were called.
Yeah.
They're a world-famous barbershop quartet. Was at the State Theater or something. We all went and saw that.
Nice, man.
It's a lot cooler than it sounds.
No, it is, man. I mean, it's intense. It's intense music. I remember, as a kid, it was like a drag. I got drug along to the shows, and but
it's so different from rock and roll that you're just like, do I invest the time in this?
But the thing was, I was in these, we would go to definitely the bigger concerts, and they're funny, man. They're funny and they're great. It's like 4-part harmony, 4 guys or gals singing, and it's like they're putting on a skit. It's happening, and the audience is reacting, and you're in an audience of 800, and they're having a good time, man. And so it's it's that same kind of vibe you get being any other large attended performance, And so it was cool. It was a real great influence, and my sweet.
So you did a lot of singing then, coming up?
No, not really. I never thought I was going to be a singer. I remember in the first few rock bands I was in, I was like, I could probably, sing some backing vocals, some yells or something like that, But yeah, originally I didn't gravitate towards singing. Yeah.
Cool. So, moving on from the formative years there, what after getting out of high school, what was your next move with the music as a passion?
In high school, I got into my first band. It's called Paradox. I'm still friends with these guys. We actually did a 30 we did several, 3. We did one gig in 1986, and then our next gig was 30 years later. But we rehearsed a lot, and hung out and had some great times back in high school, man. But and then we did 2 or 3 gigs after that. So
that's one of the most awesome things I've heard in life. One gig in high school.
Well, it's crazy, and the crazy thing was that the first time we got together to rehearse, 30 years later, it was the first time that we'd been in the same room for 30 years. So it was like, and through social media, we had all reconnected again. And I'd been tight with one of the lead singer of the band. And, but yeah, it was a high school thing. We played North Olmsted Rec Center. That was our gig. We sold tickets. We actually made money. I think we made $50 a piece at the time, which was killer. It was like our first gig, And I still have the contract in my scrapbook of like stuff that I've kept over the years. But it's the contract for the from the North Olmsted ice skating rink and the breakdown of the skate rental and then what the band got paid, and it's just like this. It's hilarious. But anyway, so we got together. Anyway, that was the band Paradox. That was my first real introduction into being in a rock band. I'd picked up the bass a year earlier, just kind of putzed around on it. And then, after I went through a few different local rock bands here in Cleveland, practiced in some really shithole places around town, West 65th and Denison, and man, I have a lot of stories from the early 80s, and it was just pre-hair metal band thing, and then I got into that scene. It was like what was going on in the late 80s at the Akron Agora, and that was my hang. I ended up going to the Akron University of Akron for 6 years, not getting a degree, but just I had the full college experience.
I know exactly what you mean. 5 years at Kent, nothing to show for it.
Right on.
Plenty of stories.
Yeah, man, plenty of stories, right? But yeah, it was really. So yeah, and then I after high school I actually lived in Hollywood for 6 weeks. Back in '88, and it was just a crazy time, man. Everybody looked like Guns N' Roses, the whiskey was happening, all those songs, all the lyrics of the Motley Crue songs. That was like real life out there, and then it was too much for me, man. It was just too crazy, and then that's when I decided I wanted like a formal education, and came back to Akron and went through the music program, mostly in Akron, and did that for a while. And then I got a gig in music retail. I worked at Sam's Music, which was a company here in town. Back in the day, my store was North Randall. Their main store was down on East 30th and Prospect. It was a cool hang. I met a ton of people. Eddie Backus Sr. just passed away a couple days ago. Great keyboard player. The Jazz Cats would come and hang out at the store, and Levert and all these,
What
Cleveland.
What year is this?
This is like 90.
There was a Sam's Music in Menor. I wonder if it was one of them.
It was,
okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
It closed in like 98 or somewhere around there.
Yeah. Well, it was so downtown, this store, man, when I was 16, as soon as I could drive, we went down. I'm into music and looking for my bass or whatever. I didn't even know, but I'm looking for my instrument, and Sam's Music was down on Prospect and East 30th. And this is like 1985, and Prospect and East 30th in 1985 is nothing. I mean, it's kind of just barren. It's a nice part of town now, but at that time, we drive down on a Sunday morning, waiting for Sam's to open at like 10, but the church people are coming to the churches, the hookers are going home, and there's like a bunch of suburban white kids sitting waiting for the music store to open. And mind you, it was Sam's world of golf, guns, tennis, and music.
That's the name of the store.
That was the name of the store. Apparently it started out as it was golf retail, and at some point apparently they became like a pawn shop, so they adopted the guns and the tennis, and the music was just thrown in because the one brother liked music. You know, and it was a crazy company to work for at the time. It was it's legendary if you talk to some of the older cats in town.
Were they ever a music shop like you think music first when you think of Sam's?
Well, by the time, what happened was the downtown store, which was the main store, which is where we would hang out, there was so much vintage gear in this area. Oh man, these beautiful things. This Gibson Harp guitar. It's like a 64 stringed instrument or something, but it was made by Gibson. Sat in the display case as you walked into the music department, beyond the golf and guns and tennis, and the store ended up burning down, the whole store. So it took all this vintage gear, and so for years, people will tell you or you could find this out, but people were bringing burnt musical gear into like all the pawn shops in Cleveland, and like the people would go. They went scavenging, like down in there. And I had a friend who had a metal. His dad had a metal company, and they would bring burnt cymbals in just for the scrap metal and shit. It was just like this whole crazy thing, man. But anyways, I worked for that company. And then after the main store burned down, they had the Menor store, and they did a Middleburg Heights store, and it was a small local, you know, I mean, they had their fingers out into the musical community back in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s.
Yeah, Among the Willows, the ride cymbal that Cody uses was from when Sam's Music in Menor was going out of business. I bought that I bought that in high school and it's his now.
I thought you were going to say it was just slightly charged.
No. It was when they were going out of business. I also remember they were like, "Oh, we had some gear we found in the back," and they had a 70s Ludwig stainless steel kit.
Oh wow!
Still in the box.
Oh wow!
It was like still in the boxes.
Yeah.
I didn't, high school kid. I didn't have enough money to buy it. I was trying to talk them down. Like, you guys are closing anyways.
Right.
One of the coolest vintage things I've seen, like in person, because I'm like, it's still in the box, man.
Yeah. Wow. So, should I keep going?
Let's move on a little bit.
You know what? Let's say thank you to Chuck Kaminsky and Basement Trader, because we always forget that part.
Thank you, Chuck Kaminsky.
I hear
that bass that I was talking about in Tyler's episode.
Yes.
I bought it.
Yes.
I went ahead and bought it, and I am so happy.
And you had your first gig with that
I
Saturday?
already had my first gig with it. Yeah, just this past Saturday, I played with Apostle Jones. We opened for this awesome jam band called Eminence Ensemble.
Huh.
You know, you hear a lot of like Humphrey's influence in what they're doing.
Okay.
And they're killing it. Out of Colorado, Denver, Eminence Ensemble. We played at the Grog Shop for like 40, 50 people. It was really, really cool. And the bass, a PV 1990, like wood stains, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on exploring all the tones that thing can offer me.
That's awesome.
Chuck Kaminsky, he got me it was already a great deal, and he even gave me another discount, like on top of that. And like,
Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck Kaminsky, very much. Basement Trader, that's BASS, Mints. Trader, one word. Yeah, like a bass.
Bass heavy.
That's
He's
right.
like bass heavy. Oh, see, I didn't even see that. Okay.
Did you see the booby bass when you were at his house by any chance, hanging on the wall?
I didn't know. That was the only bass he had.
It's upstairs on the wall.
Oh, okay.
So he played. He was running
basement.
jam nights at. It was Kickers at the time. Now it's Wits End.
Okay.
But he was running those, and I used to go there, like ride my bike there. And he's like, "No, he's cool. He can come in." And I remember he had the booby bass. It's got some airbrushed topless chick on it.
Okay.
I know he's saving it for Jacob, his son, is getting the booby bass. And
All right. Nice.
be sure to check out the booby bass when you're at Basement Trader.
Well,
Chestnut Street in Painesville. Yeah.
Nice. I see Chuck on his card it's cool old guitars in the bass mint.
Yeah.
So, Chuck, I'm coming to see you, brother.
Yeah, does he still have that, was it 335 that he had there? Like a 73 or something like that?
I mean, there was a lot of guitars on the wall there, and I kind of only had a small window to go do it all, so I didn't explore everything. Even had some classical guitars that I wanted to try out. And,
Nice.
let's also mention our partners at Listen CLE.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Michael McFarland, Amanda Nix, they have website, listencle.com, and they have
9
Spotify playlists.
Yeah, 9 Spotify playlists based by mood of all Cleveland or local Cleveland area artists.
I've checked it out.
It's very cool, isn't it?
It is. Very cool.
I really like the rather than genre going by mood, because you're
man.
like, man, I need a pick me up today. I'm nailing this.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
All local, all the time. Find all 9 playlists on listencle.com.
Nice.
Cool. All right.
Commercial's over.
Yep. As you can see, there's room on this table for more sponsors.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
We'll whore ourselves out for anything, but these two are special.
Very cool.
All right, Dreadlock Dave.
Yeah,
I would
all
like
right.
to hear about some of the acts you've been associated with over the years, like Water Band. Is that one of yours?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever saw you. But like before the first time I ever met you, the first time I was aware of who you were.
Okay, right, which we've already talked about.
Yeah. So, pre-Water Band, do you have anything worth that you'd like to talk about?
Pre-Water Band. Well, where I cut my teeth, man, was in a band called Rebels Without Applause.
Without applause.
Rebels Without Applause. Yeah, and it was a classic rock band, and we did, sometimes 4 nights a week back in the day, and this was going 30 years ago. And so yeah, between that and Water Band, there were a couple years where I did over 300 shows. And
in a year?
In a year.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, early 2000s. It was crazy, man. I mean, I played every night of the week, sometimes 3 gigs a day. And
cool. What was Water Band like?
Well, Water Band was at that time we were a trio. We were just a power trio, and but we started prior to that as a band called Vegetable Matter, and we started
Same 3 guys.
No, this was like Spinal Tap. We've had 47 people in the band, and but yeah, we started early on. We were a 6-piece actually, I think, in Vegetable Matter, but we that was man, what year was that? This is 99, and we did there was a place it was called the Brown Street Underground in Akron on Brown Street, and it was a house run by he was like Captain Trips or Wavy Gravy of the house, the owner of the house, and his name was Jimmy Shambo. And so when I was in college, we just missed pass, but he had this house, and it was 3 stories. The stage was in the basement, and then each floor, first floor, second floor, and attic, all had some sort of TV. This is pre-flat screens, right? And so it was old style, computer. But you could watch the concert from anywhere in the house. Yeah, so it was just this, it felt to me what Haight-Ashbury would have been back in the day, with the Grateful Dead San Francisco scene, that house that whatever the address is there, it felt like that. There were always artistic, musical people, and that's where Water Band played its first gig. We had played there prior as Vegetable Matter, but Water Band played our first gig in this basement in Akron. And there was, just all these cool people and cool energy, man. And it was we were rock stars almost right then and there in this house. So it was great, man. And that's kind of what launched it. And then, like I said, there's been 47 people in Water Band over the years. And we had some great people, some great players. There was a time where I was accused of being a rock and roll vampire because the next kid that would come in was 18, and he was just Killer Shredder. It was year 11 of Water Band, and the new guitar player comes in, and it's this 18-year-old kid. We started with an 18-year-old kid, Rick Phillips, back in 2001. And we ended up, like following when Jerry died, it was like it set off this whole jam band scene, and we kind of rode that wave. We were a songwriting, song-heavy jam band.
What years were you active with Water Band?
Yeah, 2000 until like 2006, and then we reunited in 2008 and did until 2012, and then we had a reunion in 2018 at the Beachland Ballroom, which was a sellout show.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's right. I didn't make it, but I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So with so many past members, how do you decide who makes the reunion?
Well, it was funny because when we conceived of the reunion in 2018, it was like, I want everybody that's able and ever played in Water Band. So I sent out a mass invite. I just wanted everybody that was ever involved that would come and play. And we had a couple extras. We had our guitar player, Tall Tom Denk. He's been in Vegas for the last 18 years, and he flew in to play guitar. He did a stint, a long stint, 2 different stints with Water Band. He was actually in Vegetable Matter. But yeah, so it was cool, man. We had several old members, and then we had a core band that reunited. And the originator of Water Band was John Welton, and he was the partner that and it was kind of circled around his songs and my songs, and so we put a great band together based on people who were willing and able to play. And it was a great time, man. It was really cool. Like almost 20 years later, playing these songs that we started playing that like kind of launched the career and took us to various places all over the Midwest and eastern part of the United States.
Cool. I was able to use Ryan Matiska with one of my bands when we needed keyboard players.
He's a badass, man.
I barely had to I sent him the songs. Like we barely had to have a rehearsal. He was ready to go.
Ryan to this day is my number one keyboard call. So
he would be mine too.
Yeah, man. I love Ryan. Love Ryan.
Yeah. We're gonna hashtag Ryan Matiska.
Give him a little love, man. Yeah.
We get him in here.
Yeah.
Love to talk just keyboards.
Yeah.
He's the guy. Or if you have any questions about Frank Zappa, he could sing you the whole Joe's Garage album.
Or Allman Brothers.
Yeah. Nice.
Great, cool. So the other thing I'm very impressed by was your work with Carlos Jones.
Yeah, man. Well, Carlos has been a friend. I lived in Kent for a while, and I would have been. Oh yeah.
People mention Kent every episode. So.
Is that right?
We need a bell, but we just ring that.
Dude, Kent is what a hotbed of music back in the day, and I'm lucky to know a lot of those people. And actually, before everything shut down, that would have been my 25th year teaching at Woodsy's Music. So I've been there for a long time teaching private bass lessons and guitar lessons and woodwind and other things if necessary. But the question was, where were we going with this?
It was more of a.
You were talking Carlos Jones.
Oh, yeah, Carlos Jones, right. I'm sorry. So I digress. I met Carlos at Brady's Cafe in the early 90s, and he turned me on to the term Nyabingi, which is the base of reggae music. It's the Nyabingi drum, which is right, and he hit me to that idea, and I was, searching spiritually at the time, so it was a cool time to meet him. And I'm in Kent. I'm at Brady's Cafe, which was a cool place. Bonnie G. Did you ever have a Bonnie G?
What's Brady's Cafe now?
Brady's Cafe is Starbucks now. Oh. Yeah, sadly. It's right across from the vacant lot that was the Robin Hood Inn, which I think somebody else mentioned on one of your previous podcasts.
Yeah, I remember hearing it. I don't remember who said it, but...
Yeah. But Kent, as you know, is a cool place. And that's where I met Carlos. And just over time, I had a band that I was in called Big Ship, which kind of connected. We were talking to Larry Koval, who is Carlos's manager, about potentially working with us at a time. Excuse me. So the association with Carlos, you can't be in this town for 30 plus years and like not mingle with the other musicians in town, and it was like that. I've had all kinds of opportunities. Carlos Jones and I played a Fox 8 News in the Morning one time, and we've hung out and drank tequila and played this gig and that gig, and I was honored to be asked when Charlie, he had an accident a few years ago, and they were potentially looking for a bass player. Carlos gave me a call, and there was a point where I could have been the bass player for the Plus Band, but I'm so glad that Charlie's healthy and was able to retain his position in that band. But love Carlos.
I got
man.
to play with him one time. And that
with
was one.
Carlos.
Yeah, I did one fill-in gig with the Plus Band. That was one of the most fulfilling musical experiences of my life.
Nice, dude. What did you play?
Lead guitar.
Oh, nice.
Summit Community Center or something, some pavilion behind some apartments in Akron.
Right on, dude.
Blast.
Oh yeah, man. Well, Carlos he's a beautiful human being and a Cleveland legend, and man, the whole operation, the Plus Band, just beautiful people, and it's a great positive vibe that emanates through Cleveland and beyond.
Well, I think we can call you a Cleveland music legend.
Cheers
to that. Cheers to that.
Oh yeah, a legend that'll last till lunchtime. As my old friend Bill Hatch from Rebels Without Applause would say. But yes, thank you for that. I appreciate that, man.
My pleasure.
Trying to spread a positive vibe. That's kind of been my thing, regardless of the musical project I've been in, whether it's been in a shithole bar in the west side of Cleveland, or whatever I do, playing cover music, playing original music, playing music in general, trying to spread the positive vibe, man.
Well, keep at it, man. Your tenacity is inspiring.
Oh, thanks, dude.
Thanks for sticking with it.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Well, speaking of that, my last night was my 97th live stream on a Tuesday night in a row. So I haven't missed one since March of the shutdown.
Tuesday nights, right?
Tuesday nights on Facebook, 7 p.m., Dreadlock Dave page. And, it's been great. It during the shutdown, it kept my sanity, and it's been well responded to. So I'm blessed to be able to do it, and, you feel that instant love because I'm looking at my phone the whole time, next to the microphone, so I can see all the comments rolling by.
Yeah.
There's points, I'll be playing and singing, and I'll start laughing because someone will say something funny, and it's a blast, man. So it's been a crazy time, as we all know, with what's going on in the world, but yeah, man.
What's your go-to bass guitar?
Currently, it has been for about 7 years, maybe. It's an Ibanez Sound Gear. It's like a cheap bass guitar that I got used for $250 at Sam Ash, and I put some Seymour Duncan, just it's hardwired, it's like an old jazz bass, like a Fender Jazz, and it's just these thumping old jazz pickups in these pockets where these humbuckers were, and it's super light. It's lightweight. The neck is narrow and really easy to play, and I use a lighter gauge, so it's like butter. I do a lot of bending in my solos and that, so it's like it's just easy to play instrument and super light.
Easier on your shoulders, I bet.
Oh man, dude. Well, I think I permanently screwed up my back because I have a Fender 78 Jazz that's a mahogany body. It's like the heaviest Fender I think there was ever made. Mm-hmm. It's a 78, but it's heavy, man. And I think like that was my main axe for like 18 years, and I think the lower back is like I think there's a Fender logo somewhere down there.
Yeah, I picked up like a 70-something Strat, and I just could not believe the weight that was on that thing. You know, took it off the rack. I'm like, what the hell?
They were hunks of wood, man.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
So what's coming next?
Next, I'm super excited. Right now it's crazy. I'm with the first time in 30 years I'm without a band. I don't have a band. I play solo gigs at restaurants and bars around town and create my solo music. But I am a bass for hire. So, if anybody's looking for a bass player and they need I'm ready to go.
Except for Tuesday nights.
Right. Have bass will travel. But I'll do the live stream on the road, man.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. That'd be cool as hell.
Probably before the show. Yeah. And I've actually done the live stream in Arizona, Colorado, Florida, a couple other places around town, other than my studio, every Tuesday night. But it's been a crazy ride. But next, because basically I'm, playing a few gigs here and there. I'm at the Beerhead in the Flats the third Friday every month in 22, so you can come check me out there. Or always go to dreadlockdave.com for the latest updates on where I'm at. But I'm super excited about a musical I've co-written over the last 6-7 years. My friend Bill, he's my co-writer, and we've come up with 40 songs and an hour-and-a-half musical. It's called Annie Man the Musical, and Annie has lost her mother. She went off to war and was killed. So her father remains, Avery, and Avery, because of this devastation, has lost the ability to love. And Annie discovers that she can reach her father through the dream world. So the musical takes place in the dream world, mostly, and Annie Man ends up saving her father, Avery, through her efforts. And it's a beautiful story about, love. That's the whole thing, man. Yeah. So Annie Man can teach Avery Man how to love again.
All right.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So has this been something that's been brewing for a while and just waiting for the opportunity to come around and make it?
Yeah, well, we were actually, like I said, we've been working on it like 6, 7, 8 years now, but we were ready to go. We were casting at the beginning of 2020. I mean, fall of 19, we were casting. So we were ready to debut spring of 20. And we had the lead is Annie Man, a 12-year-old girl, and we had it cast with a super talent, and she's up and coming, but she grew up over the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Like she started out as a sweet little Disney princess, and then it was Marilyn Monroe like 18 months later. So it was like we didn't know what we were gonna do. We actually thought that we might make a film out of the musical during the shutdown. But now that things have started to kind of open back up, and we're gonna debut on the in Massillon, Ohio, on April 29th and 30th.
Oh, all right.
And that's the debut of Annie Man the Musical, and you can go to anniemanthemusical.com, and dreadlockdave.com is the hub where you can find out what's going on with that.
That is so cool.
Are you directing?
I'm co-directing, yeah. And this is my first foray into writing a musical and co-writing a musical with my friend Bill. And yeah, man, we're super excited to debut. I mean, we've put so much time into this, and we're super excited to see it come to fruition on stage.
I'm excited for you, man.
Oh, thank you, brother.
A great venture.
Yeah, I'm. You know, it carries on what I've been trying to do all my personal musical career, and I found a partner to co-writer to create this thing, and we've just it started with one song, and Waterband actually performed the song. It was called "I Love You on the Planet." That was the inception, and that's what started this back in 2008. We took a break, and I didn't see my co-writer Bill for a while, and then I'm like, dude, we're supposed to be working together. We're supposed to be doing something together, and that's what started it 6-7 years ago.
Great.
And we've been working hard and are super excited for this debut.
Cool. What's the venue?
It's called the 708 Club in Massillon, Ohio. It's the oh man, I'm gonna get the name wrong, but it's like the Stark Legacy Project, I believe is the name. But it's at the 708. It's right downtown Massillon, Ohio.
29th and 30th, 2 shows.
Friday night, the 29th of April, and Saturday, the 30th of April.
Great.
And yeah, just check it out. There's going to be limited seating because it's only it's a little speakeasy in the bottom of a church. They're using it for a community center right now.
Nice.
But the upstairs is the old sanctuary, which is in rehab status currently. But there's a little speakeasy downstairs with a small stage, and that's where we're holding this. It's only 75 seats per night, and it's going to be a good time. I'm pretty sure people will be entertained. We're hoping that they'll be entertained if they show up.
Cool. Well, if it's not sold out, I'll try to be there.
Awesome,
for sure.
We'll see, but I don't know if I'm gonna have a gig that day.
Right.
Now,
you know, there's so many people around town that I've known for years and years and years, but I've never seen their band. Because
I know what you mean.
Because you're working, right? It's I'm working, you're working, dude. Have a great gig.
Yep.
Yeah. Catch you next time.
Respect you as a person.
Yeah, man, totally. Yeah.
Great. All right. Dave McDougall, thank you so much for coming by.
No one knows who.
Sorry. Dreadlock Dave.
Dreadlock Dave.
On the commercials, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Dreadlock Dave McDougall for those old school people.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for stopping by, man. Do you have anything else you want to talk about or say?
Oh, I could go on for hours, man. How much
man.
bourbon is left?
Let's keep going, man. We got 3 minutes.
All right. You got 4 minutes and 20 seconds? Okay. No, man. Just that, thank you guys for what you're doing.
We love it.
Yeah, we're having a blast.
I mean, it's got to be fun to talk to local musicians. I've seen several of the podcasts, and it's awesome. And
Great.
I'm thankful for anybody who's willing to help promote local art, and that's what you guys are doing for sure, man.
Oh,
So,
yeah. It's so satisfying too.
It
It's
is.
just taking a break out of life and just sitting down and talking about the music with people. You know what I mean?
Totally.
No agenda.
Yeah.
Really, no big goal in mind. Really, just
chilling and chatting.
Let's chat. Let's put it out there. Let's show everybody what's going on in this city.
Yeah, and there's a lot, man.
There
There's so much talent in this town, and I would encourage anybody to just seek out what's going on. I mean, I wish there was a hub for all of the activity, regardless of the genre or whatever, that you could go. But if you seek out, and you guys are doing a great job, and other people like you just pushing it out there. There's so much talent in Cleveland, and I mean, I'm proud to be and honored to be a part of it, and it's just so cool. We need the west side to cross the river to the east side, and the east side to cross the river to the west side, and the south side people to come up. It's not that far, man. You know what I mean? It's
even just living in Euclid, 10 minutes east of Cleveland, I feel so segregated from from a lot of this scene.
It takes a little effort, but like I've always looked at it like an hour and a half radius is in the neighborhood, man, or maybe even 2. You know, like Columbus is almost like they're a little bit down the road, but you know, I mean, it's like we live in such a cool area for the arts and music, and specifically Cleveland. But like there's I think the collective, if there were some sort of collective effort focused somehow, there's so much power and creativity right here in Northeast Ohio.
There is.
Yeah. You guys are part of that, and I thank you.
Now we're just showcasing it.
Well, yeah, that's part of it, man. So I thank you guys. It's been an honor to be on this show.
Well, thank you so much.
Last thing before you go.
Movie recommendations. Do you have any movie recommendations?
Dude, I just asked for this on Facebook. Like I posted this like a few weeks back because I recently had some downtime, and I'm not a movie watcher. I've seen Spinal Tap over 500 times, but that was because I only owned a TV, a VCR, and Spinal Tap. There was no cable hookup or rabbit ears or anything, man. And I love that movie. That is I've lived that movie. But if you haven't seen Spinal Tap as a musician, man, what's going on, man? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I haven't seen it since like age 17. So 20 years. I should rewatch.
Revisit, man. And revisit the director's cut because.
Does that have the part where they go to the zoo? Because there's a scene I saw on YouTube where they go to the zoo and they see the apes.
No, I think that's in the deep out cuts. But my favorite scene in the outtake or the director's cut is when it's an added bonus footage. Brent Kirby comes in. He's the limo driver for Spinal Tap, and they're all in the hotel at this point. And this is not in the original movie, only in the director's cut as a bonus scene. Brent Kirby comes into the hotel room, and the band's hanging out, and they're sitting there on the couches and whatever. And I can't remember if it's David McKeon or Nigel Tufnell who takes the box out, and it's I think it's Prince Charles and Princess Diana on this metal box, and he's like, "Hey, do you know what this is?" And he opens it up, and there's pills and powders and doobies, and it's this box of illicit substances. And Brent Kirby's like, they start smoking a joint, and Brent Kirby's standing there in his limo's tux kind of outfit. And
you talking about Cleveland's Brent Kirby?
No. Did I say Brent Kirby?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. Did I say Brent Kirby?
You said it 3 times.
Over and over.
Well, this may have happened to Brent. I mean, I know him, but I don't know him this well.
He didn't tell us.
Bruno Kirby. Sorry, the actor Bruno Kirby. Okay,
I was about to say, like, why didn't you mention this in the podcast? He was in that movie?
I had Cleveland on the brain. No, it's not Brent Kirby. It's Bruno Kirby. Sorry about that, Brent. Anyway, so they light the doobie up, and Bruno Kirby is there, and he takes a couple hits. He's like, I don't feel anything, man. The next thing they cut, he's in nothing but his underwear, and he's singing to a pizza crust a Frank Sinatra song. And he's like, he finishes, I think it's My Way. It's my way. And he's like, that's music. It's a beautiful scene. Spinal Tap, the director's cut, would be my recommendation.
All right.
Well, featuring Brent Kirby.
Right, that's the triple secret outtakes.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again, Dave, for coming
Hey,
back. We had a blast, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Can't wait to do this again sometime.
Absolutely.
My honor. Both.
Cool.
Thanks, gentlemen.
All right.
Peace.
I'm Evan Stone.
I'm Chuck Schilling.
And this has been the Cuyahoga Sound Podcast.
All right. Peace.
Peace. Blessings.